Okay.
Okay, so first I want you to tell the camera what your relationship to me is.
Your relationship to us?
Yes, to me. Like, what is our thing?
We are your grandma and grandpa Vandal.
Okay, there you go.
And we're from Wyoming.
Okay.
And we are your mother's parents.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so question number one. Where did our family come from?
We're not real sure, but Europe somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Part of my family, I'm talking about me, the Vandal side, and when I went into came from probably Holland, Netherlands. I'm not sure what great it was, but came over. He was shipped out from Holland as a cabin boy on a Dutch West Indies company ship. And then he became, through his career, he became a ship's captain for that same company and lived in New York.
Okay.
And he married a French woman, and there's some evidence that there's a French branch of the family as well as a Dutch branch of the family.
Okay.
And I would suspect, but we don't know, that during the Revolutionary War, the one branch remained loyal to the British Crown and went, and somewhere along the line went into Canada. So we have Canadian Vandals and U.S. Vandals, and nobody really knows exactly how we're related. So
Okay, so you
we are related.
You kind of answered that second question, but the second question is, how do you or we know, like, where we are from? Like, are these things that...
like I said, we weren't exactly sure, but somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
But just handed down, we've got a Vandal family chronicle that a lot of this was handed down by boys, but they've got a family tree that shows where we all came from. You, by the way, are in that family. Your great grandma Vandal made sure that you were put in that family tree.
And it covers tables and tables.
Yeah.
It goes from here to there.
Well, you can imagine all the different branches.
Okay, so number 3 is, how many generations can you trace back from your parents?
From my parents?
Yes, so like your parents.
Well,
parents
I knew my grandparents, and I knew one great grandmother. But then, as far as the chronicles, 20 generations.
20 generations, okay.
I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
So, can you recall like specific names?
We come from a branch of the family from Abram Vandal. That's where where we came from. But he was a veteran of the Revolutionary War. He was actually, that's why the French connection again. He was actually a private, and he lived, back in those days it was kind of funny the way they came and went into the armed service. But he was enlisted as a private, then went home for a while, and then came back. But he was involved in the construction of West Point.
Yeah.
Just, one of the laborers, army laborers in West Point. But then during the Revolutionary War, he served under Lafayette.
Okay.
And when the war was over, the U.S. government gave him 40 acres of land in what is now West Virginia. It used to be Western Virginia at the time, but now West Virginia, where Fayetteville is. It used to be Vandalia. It was named after, the community was Vandalia, and later on they named it Fayetteville. And why they changed the name, I don't know. But the courthouse in Fayetteville is on land that he once owned.
Okay.
That's West Virginia.
Okay, so you kind of touched on this already, but like, where, like the second part of this question is places of birth.
Places of birth? Well, my grandparents, my mother was a Hastings, your great grandma Vandal was Hastings. Her father was born in England, he came over. Not her father, her grandfather was born in England and came over. And her grandmother was named Parker, and he was a Tucker. My grandmother, your great grandmother, was a Tucker.
Okay.
Her maiden name was Tucker. But her father was born in England, and then immigrated over here. And her mother was born here in the United States, and her parents, her male side, they were Methodist Methodist ministers,
Okay.
Parkers. And they really ended up right near York, Nebraska. That's where my grandmother was born, was in York, Nebraska. And my mother was actually born in York, Nebraska. My grandfather was born in Geneva, Nebraska, which wasn't too far away. And his name was Hastings.
Okay.
So that I'm not sure what year those were. I should know, but I can't remember exactly what year they were birth.
Okay.
Early 1800s.
Yeah, so the third part of this question is like birthdays, if you know specifically. You would say, but you said early 1800s as well.
Well, let's see, my mother was born in 1913. Dad was born in 1912, so his parents would probably be, I used to, but no, it'd be the late 1800s, 88, 89, somewhere in there.
Okay. So do we have any veterans in our family?
Yes.
Yes.
You got a veteran of the Revolutionary War, you got a veteran of the Civil War, and me.
Yeah.
Uncle Dick.
And Uncle Dick.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was too old for the World War I. My father was too young, and my father was too old for World War II, and we were too young. But your uncle and I your Uncle Dick and I were in Vietnam veterans.
Yeah. Okay, so number 5 is, can you tell me any stories about our family? Like any just like odd or unique stories?
Maybe think
Well,
about the Depression. I would tell a story about the Depression and how your parents ended up together, and that story you told me about your grandpa and the grocery stores. All that's really good stuff.
Well, those are just stories. They're nothing heroic, or they're just a way of life. But my grandparent Hastings took up a homestead near Chugwater, Wyoming, and my grandparent Vandals took up a homestead near. They started out. They were born in Beatrice, Nebraska, both of them, and they took up a homestead near Minnetonka, Nebraska, Minnetonka and Baird, Nebraska, somewhere right between the two. And my grandfather and two of his brothers took up homesteads there. But my grandfather and my father was born when they were on the homestead, 1912. That was his birth year. My father, your great grandfather, was born in my grandmother was born. Your great grandmother was born in 1913, and then I was born in 1938. Your grandma was born in 1939. So, but neither one of them stayed on the homesteads. They ended up selling those homesteads. My grandfather Vandal worked for the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad, which is now the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. And he became what they call a section foreman. That's why they went to Torrington. He became a section foreman in Torrington. And my grandfather Hastings sold his homestead, and they they moved from Chugwater to Torrington, and he set up a grocery store and did quite well. The sugar company, Holly Sugar Company, built a factory there in 1926,
Okay.
and that's when he set up the grocery store because people were coming to Torrington.
Yeah.
And he ended up doing quite well and ended up selling it and kind of retired. And then the sugar company decided to build a factory in Wheatland, Wyoming. So he went over there and set up another grocery store, and about that time the Depression hit, and everything
Went bad.
went bad, and he went back to, so he kind of got walked out. Then during the World War II, well, speaking of veterans, my mother's brother, no, my mother's uncle, Roy Tucker, out of York, was in World War I with the machine guns company,
Okay.
where they taught him how to strip down the machine guns and put them back blindfolded.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so this is the last question. It's, do we have any geological records? If so,
Genealogical.
I think it's
It's
Is
genealogical.
it genealogical? Okay, I just read it wrong. Genealogical records. If so, where are they?
We do, and some of them are in a file cabinet in Torrington, in my file cabinet. I've got a picture of your company of World War I. We had three of them, in fact. Just one of those long strips of the machine gun company of Uncle Roy, my great Uncle Roy, World War I. And yeah, we got quite a bit of background on the Vandal side and some on the Hastings side. You know, there's Parkers and Hastings and Vandals and Joneses, and you get all these different people coming together to form whoever you are, just
Yeah.
like you are. You got the Youngs and the Vandals, and
Yeah.
that's where it goes,
All right.
where your bloodline is.
So